who's here watching the Youth Wing special here. And by the way, we're here every Wednesday night. Do come along and join us for a glass of wine, glass of beer every single Wednesday night around about 6 o'clock at the Backbenders pub. By the way, like the Backbenders Facebook page and you'll be in the draw to win a meal for two and a couple of pints of beer with us. Now, I took to the streets of Wellington today and I asked this question. Were you bullied at school?
Yes, like profusely.
Oh, no.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, to an extent, I guess I was.
I actually wasn't, and I'm pretty lucky I wasn't.
Yeah, I was.
Who's the weakest link is the easiest person to prey upon, I think.
What about cyberbullying? I mean, online bullying, it's a big issue these days, isn't it?
I know a few people who's had it happen to them through
have you?
Facebook and stuff. But yeah, it had never happened to me personally, so I don't really know too much about it.
Like, people doing it online is probably worse than doing it in person because you don't always know who they are and stuff like that.
There's a lot of tactics to avoid it. Like, it's pretty easy just to walk away away from the computer and just...
Walk away from that computer.
Delete your account is probably the only thing that helps.
Some websites have tools that help you to report users that, like if you're on Twitter, you can block people. Facebook, you can report them and stuff like that.
Very good. Now, this is quite a big issue, isn't it? Cyberbullying and rates, shocking statistics here. Cyberbullying among young people are very high, with nearly 50% of all 18 to 19-year-olds bullied at some time. So I want to ask you first, Nevada, what do you make of this issue? Do you think that online bullying perhaps has replaced the classic schoolyard bullying? What do you make of the issue?
I think it's a lot easier for people to send a mean Facebook message as opposed to walk up to them at school and say something awful. And I think this is a huge, huge issue. And it's leading to a lot of young people with really bad mental health issues. It's causing a lot of young people trying to take their own lives, which is a really sad reality.
Have you been cyberbullied?
I have.
In what capacity?
On Facebook and on Twitter.
What about you, Elijah? What do you make of this issue?
Listen, bullying in any form, be it cyber, be it physical, emotional, is not acceptable. And we need to be doing everything we can to educate our kids and ourselves, and our parents' generation that bullying is not okay.
Okay, what about you, Joel? Have you been cyberbullied?
I don't think I have been cyberbullied.
Have you contributed to what they call pylons on Twitter?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
But look, I think probably we're all going to sing from a pretty similar song sheet here. We know there's a really serious issue with cyberbullying because it's so much easier to have access to people than it is to get into their face physically, and it's really easy to harass and abuse people online, unfortunately. And the government's, I think, done some good stuff with the Harmful Digital Communications Bill, but
does it go far enough, do you think?
I'm not sure that it necessarily does, but I'm also not sure that...
So what would you like to see more happen then?
I'm not necessarily sure that government and legislation can fix the issue on its own. Every single person has to help create a culture where bullying's not acceptable, and eventually in time with that, I think we can stamp it out.
Let's ask Connor New Zealand first. Under the Harmful Digital Communications Act, bullies can be fined up to $5,000. What do you make of this issue?
Of course, it's horrible. I don't think anyone would disagree with that.
Have you been the target of cyberbullying or bullying?
Bullying at one point, but never cyberbullying.
How did you deal with it?
I contacted the teachers.
What about you, Ricardo?
I actually agree with Joel that legislation can only go so far, and I think politicians need to be at the forefront. And when we have politicians like Paula Bennett effectively bullying people in the ground, people from Te Puia Marae, engaging, running smear campaigns, that effectively is bullying.
Because she was bullied. She's been bullied. There was a piece in the Herald.
That's right, but it's a two-way street. I mean, just because you're bullied doesn't mean you can't engage in bullying. She stands in a position of influence and of power, and she can effectively destroy communities, people that are working on the ground hard. She's done it before.
We'll have to get Joel to respond to that. What do you think, Joel, about that, what Ricardo just said?
Look, I don't think you can fairly say that Paula Bennett has been bullying or cyberbullying people. It's easy for anyone to be the victim of bullying, especially if you're a public figure like a politician. And we do need politicians to take the lead and set the strong positive example.
But they are, as Ricardo said, they're in the positions of power. What do you think, Elijah? I mean, people like Paula Bennett are perhaps in positions of power. So it's not really bullying, perhaps.
No. I think let's not get our wires twisted here. I think what Paula Bennett done wasn't acceptable. I don't particularly see it as bullying, but I do see it as using her power to get her in certain places, and I don't think it's acceptable
All right,
at all.
we'll come back to you. Let's go right into the back of the audience with Ali.
Yeah, right at the back with this big crowd. Ailey, you've been dropped in it by your mates. Tell me what you think about this issue of cyberbullying.
Well, I think that it's important that we increase education for teachers and for schools about helping them to create safer environments and more like counselling in schools for that kind of education rather than just saying that it has to be once that has already occurred, what are we going to do about it? Yeah.
The schools don't always get it right, do they?
No, but I think that's why it's important that teachers are kind of empowered more to think about children's health holistically and given more training about what bullying is and what they can do to help and see that as part of their pastoral care over children as well as physical health and education.
And I'm sure a lot of good work has been done. We've just been hearing about the Harmful Digital Communications Act, which seems to have teeth because someone has actually gone to prison as a result of their interactions online and bullying. Is the legislation strong enough?
I mean, I don't know, I'm not an expert, but I would worry that people would be afraid of coming forward if they were going to get their mate or somebody who is within their community, within their whānau, sent to prison over it, and it's maybe a bit dangerous to put too harsh penalties on something like that because people fear retribution if they get someone in trouble like that.
Because Twitter, it can be a bit of a pylon sometimes. What do you think, sir?
Oh, I think bullying has a valid place in our community.
Beg your pardon?
Oh, if nobody was bullied, no one would improve, So, if somebody is acting way out of social norms, you can either gently encourage them or you can pile on the pressure until they realise, hang on, what I'm doing is not a way of behaviour that will be accepted in later life. And they will change. It puts the onus on them,
So that's a sort of like American Psycho approach to the subject. Yeah, so range of views, Wallace. Range of views.
Well, okay. Let's go to Nevada. Do you think it's acceptable to have a sort of like a slightly bullying tone? Because,
No, absolutely not.
No, just a little bit. Just to get in there, and why not? Come on.
Because it's rude. I think that bullying leads to really harmful things like depression, anxiety, suicide, post-traumatic stress disorder.
But isn't the definition of bullying kind of widening out? I mean, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, Joel. I strongly disagree with you. All of a sudden, that's kind of bullying.
Well, it kind of could be, but I think most people are able to tell the difference between a robust political discussion about differences of opinion compared to the personal attacks that we consider to constitute bullying. So I think most people know the difference.
All right, what about you, Elijah?
No. Bullying's bullying regardless, and it doesn't have a place in our community. And I agree with that lady that said it needs to start with education, because children who bully turn into adults who bully, and it's not acceptable, regardless.
Have you had experiences of bullying? Have you had to deal with it?
Absolutely, cyberbullying and just bullying in itself,
face
to
to
face.
Explain it. What happened?
Name calling, people not liking the way I dress, not liking the way I speak. Certain other things, of course, which people don't necessarily agree with, or difference of opinion. People can judge you, and it's not nice.
That's all right. How do you deal with it?
I think talk to friends. I think keeping a close knit of friends is really important. But sometimes people who are bullied don't have that friend network, and it can lead to things like death, emotional sickness, all those sorts of things.
A big trend, amongst some of my friends, Connor, is they've actually said, enough, walk away from the keyboard. Actually, I'm going to take time out from Facebook. I've actually had too much of it. It's getting under my skin. What would you suggest?
I think you have to deal with the problem itself, but equally, you can block people on Facebook, and you don't have to be on the laptop.
Do you block people on Facebook?
You should. I think I've blocked one or two.
Who are? No. Winston Pete, no. All right. Hey, look, let's go to a young act in the audience.
Yeah, Hannah Mulligety from Young Act. The internet is sort of the laissez-faire, free expression environment you guys must love. But isn't there some situation where you need regulation?
Well, obviously, online safety is a big issue, and cyberbullying is an issue, but you need to be incredibly careful that any measures that do restrict communication are actually balanced with protections to free speech. When we look at the Harmful Digital Communications Act, it was a case study in bad lawmaking. First of all, the definition of harm was far too general, to the extent where just offending someone could be considered illegal. And second of all, the principles that the Act based on are actually incredibly outdated. Things like not disclosing sensitive information or not sending indecent material just aren't realistic in this day and age.
So what do we do? Just personal responsibility, I suppose.
It does begin at home. It begins with communities or families and building those support networks, but nothing should infringe on that freedom of speech, which is such a fundamental freedom.
Fantastic
Thank
stuff.
you, Hannah.